Hi guys, Piers Morgan appeared on the Laura Kuenssberg show to give advice to not just Rishi Sunak, but also the Chancellor Jeremy Hunt. The Talk TV host began by commending the new Tory leader for restoring decorum to the office of Prime Minister after the disaster of Boris Johnson and Liz Truss. But when he was pushed on what advice he would give to both men, Morgan told a story about an encounter he had with Rishi Sunak where they talked about cricket. To cut a long story short, the advice for dealing with strikes, the cost of living crisis, the NHS and everything else is attack. Have a listen.
Piers, what did you make of what Jeremy Hunt had to say about the situation with the government?
Well, I think first of all, credit to him and Rishi Sunak for restoring at least some basic decorum to the office of Prime Minister and Chancellor after the fiasco of Liz Truss, the shambles of Boris Johnson. I think they deserve credit for looking like they take the job seriously. But they are obviously inheriting one of the great hospital passes that any government's ever had to inherit. We know from the polls they're very unpopular as a government, as a party. And I had a weird moment. I flew to California at the start of August, spent the month away. And I got on my plane and I found that sitting next to me was the Prime Minister, which was probably the last thing he wanted to encounter on his day one of his vacation. But we had a very nice chat in mid-air. And he was asking what I thought about the situation. I said, it reminds me a little bit of the England cricket team, who went through 17 test matches and won one. And were playing a very dour, uninspiring form of cricket. And were facing a barrage of bouncers and really just not exciting anybody with the way they were playing. And then we changed everything. We brought in a new captain, Ben Stokes, a new coach, Brendan McCullum. We had this new philosophy called Bazball. And Bazball was about ripping up the rules.
More aggressive,
getting on the
out.
attack, getting on the front foot. And Rishi Sunak's a big cricket fan. And he was like, listening to me. And I said, you need to be a bit more Bazball,
so
Prime Minister.
You're advising the Prime Minister then, up in business class, we assume, up over the Atlantic?
Well, a little bit, but the country, I think, is crying out for hope and inspiration, but also a little bit of excitement. We're all fed up with the malaise which has engulfed this country, aren't we? We're fed up with all the strikes, with the misery, with the NHS problems, with the post-pandemic issues. Everyone is feeling the pinch. Everyone's feeling miserable. And I want to see leadership from the top, from the government, and the Prime Minister and Chancellor in particular, get on the front foot, start playing some shots, get this country back where we think it should belong.
What the hell does that mean? Go on the attack. Go on the attack against whom? Against the unions? Against the NHS? Against crumbling buildings? What does any of this mean? Now, it actually sounds a bit like he wants to bring Boris Johnson type politics back. It's all very boring. Let's put some energy into it. Now, Rishi Sunak, I've said before, is not there to fix problems. Rishi Sunak seems to be there to channel money from the public sector into the private sector, and in many cases to members of his own family. He's not there to improve the situation. He's not there to grow the economy, to fix problems. He's there to profit of the taxpayer, either him directly or his family. Now, how is any of this useful advice? Go on the attack. I'm trying to understand what Piers Morgan is talking about here. Look at what happened with the cricket team. They ripped up the rule book. Okay, what rule book is he talking about when it comes? Is he talking about politics or is he talking about the economy? Because they're completely different things. It sounds like he's trying to give him political advice. So be a bit like Boris Johnson. Don't follow the rules. He criticised Boris Johnson at the beginning for a lack of decorum and commended Rishi Sunak and the Chancellor Jeremy Hunt for doing the opposite of that. Congratulations. Rishi Sunak didn't turn up with his trousers at his ankles. Jeremy Hunt didn't implode the economy. We need to cheer them on for that. Give them a pat on the back. But now he's asking for them to tear up the rule books, to act a bit like Boris Johnson. It makes no sense whatsoever. Do you understand what he's talking about? Because I don't. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.